There was no other word except she had a contented heart.
She loves to give hospitality. She's a doggy person.
She has walked never complaining, always trusting God with a happy heart.
She's great, yes, integrity.
Terry wasn't really looking to be full-time in missions either, and that's her wonderful story.
I became a Christian in 1963. After about 10 years, I began to feel quite restless. I needed to find God's main purpose for my life. I sought advice from a Baptist minister. He felt maybe the Lord was leading me to join something like YWAM. So I did write to Lynn. I never got a reply. That was because he desperately needed a secretary. I arranged to go down and see him and Marty. So I saw that there was a little niche that I could fit into. Decided I would go for 3 months. At the end of the 3 months, as I say, I said to the Lord, I felt probably I should stay longer, but want to have regular financial support. Anyway, letters started arriving, and they all contained money, cheques. And in the end, it became really funny, hilarious. I felt it was God's sense of humour. I knew I was meant to stay.
That with all her gifts, and she was a very qualified secretary and had done lots, she knew all the practical administrative items that we knew very little about. And so rather than us missing important things that we should know, Terry was there. She felt that doing what she was doing was her piece that God had given her.
But Terry was busy working with Lynn, and then she was working longer hours, doing all sorts of things.
I prefer to use the term secretary because I feel it's a biblical term. So I always knew that that's what I was meant to do. I did have other roles for some of the time, but it was all support work, you know. When I first came, I felt very out of place really, because everyone else was an evangelist, you know, and they wanted to be out there on the front lines, witnessing to people and things. And I do believe that support work is a valid calling from God, as much as any other calling in missions. We need people with all of the gifts, because without the practical things, it can't happen.
Yes, so she was busy and she had good friends. She was always a person with friends, I think.
But she had a vast circle, and still has, circle of friends. And many of those have grown in their walk with the Lord, and others come to the Lord because of who Terry is and her testimony.
And actually, when I joined YWAM, I was older than most people. Being a single person meant, you know, I was free to travel, be part of lots of things. I do understand it's a very hard situation to be in. I found it very hard. So you have other fruitful things in your life to enjoy. So don't focus on it all the time. Focus on other things. I made lots of wonderful friends. That was very important because I feel my life as a single person was rich especially with friendships. And it still is. I feel I'm really, really blessed with so many lovely friends. And when I met David, it was very unexpected. But if the Lord has spoken, just have to depend on his word.
Oh, she just, yes, absolutely loves the Lord. And I think it's amazing that her healing, that she could have died. And she didn't. And the Lord has kept her alive.
I only remember when I was coming out of the anaesthetic, I think, I had a conversation with the Lord, and I said to him, I haven't got much longer to live anyway, so wouldn't it be better if I went now and they could all come to my funeral and have a lovely time? Sometime soon after that, Lynn and Marty came, and I told them that's what I'd prayed. But Lynn said, well, I'm sorry, but there are about 70 people praying for your recovery, so I don't think you're going to go. And then another wonderful thing was that my dear friend Anthea, a friend from the early days of YWAM, she came over to look after me when I came out of hospital. Then another friend looked after me for a week. You know, it was just wonderful. People were so loving and kind. It was overwhelming.
When we thought we were going to lose her 2 years ago, just about 2 years ago now, God gave her back to us, and she has faithfully walked in all that He called her to. Still, at 81 years old.
It is rich. I mean, Christian friendships are just wonderful. And yeah, there's wisdom where there's depth. Terry's a woman, as Marty, both women of wisdom. It's a privilege to know them.
And Terry was content not to be seen, in a sense, but she was seen in the end because of that, because of her faithfulness and because of her walk with the Lord, because of her friendship to others. She was seen for who she really is.